How's it going, everybody? This is Preston Johnson with Bets TV. I am here alongside Matthew Berry from ESPN. We're going to do 4 downs with Matthew. Are you ready to go?
Let's go.
Cool. First down, all the talk, all the rage, Julio Jones. He's going to Tennessee. People, I think, are generally wanting to be cautious. Arthur Smith also left. He's in Atlanta. Todd Downing getting promoted. What's your kind of macro vibe with Tennessee and the offense this year?
Listen, I think it's a slight downgrade for Julio. There's some concerns, right? Obviously, it's a run-first offense. You mentioned Arthur Smith isn't there. They're going to run the same playbook. It'll be fine. It's a conservative offense. Here's the pot. And oh, by the way, Julio Jones, entering his 32-year-old season, missed 7 games last year, left 2 others due to injury. All those are concerns. Here's the positive. He's Julio freaking Jones. It's an incredibly efficient offense, right? In terms of how they produce points. They also will have they have a really strong run game, right? So I mean, play action is going to be huge. And with AJ Brown on the other side, like, Julio's going to see some single coverage, believe it or not. If you're a defensive coordinator, like, where are you are you focusing on AJ Brown? Are you focusing on Julio Jones? Ultimately, I think target share and amount of targets goes slightly down in Tennessee for Julio Jones, but I think the efficiency of that offense and the quality of it, you find. I ultimately have Julio Jones as wide receiver 16, so as a wide receiver 2 entering the season.
Nice.
Where I currently have. Yeah,
I like it. That's good. Second down.
And by the way, I was going to say Ryan Tannehill obviously adding.
Sure. Probably obviously top 10ish to 12 guy now instead of middle.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm a QB 13 right now. Very quietly, Ryan Tannehill last year, very quietly a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Worth noting that since the start of 2019, Ryan Tannehill first in fantasy points per pass attempt. Again, super efficient. They don't throw a ton because they can run so effectively, but you don't add a Julio Jones to have block.
That's true. And you'd hope not.
You hope not. Yeah. So.
Cool. Second down. We're going to go to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers drama. He may or may not play. Who knows? He wants to sit. How does this affect how you're approaching drafting the weapons in Green Bay? Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and others.
I'm not worried about the running backs. Like, it's still going to be a very good offensive line. And honestly, if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, they're probably running a little bit more. So maybe the offense is less efficient. They're not scoring as much, but they'll lean on their run game more. So maybe volume will make up for the lack of efficiency in the offense. I'm nervous, to be honest. I'm nervous. I would be cautious about using a top 10 pick on Devontae Adams. Having said all that if you told me today, Preston, you said Aaron Rodgers is definitely not playing for the Packers, I'm still ranking Devontae Adams as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. I think a couple of years ago when Brett Hundley was the starting quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, and the 8 games where Brett Hundley was the starting quarterback, Devontae Adams still averaged over 16.5 fantasy points per game, was on pace for over 1,000 yards, over 10 touchdowns in a 16-game season. Like he's still the focal point of that offense. They're still going to throw no matter how bad could Jordan Love be, right? You know what I mean? Or whoever they get, or Brian Hoyer, whatever, whoever they get is like, are they going to be Aaron Rodgers? Of course they aren't. But again, like, are they going to be worse than Brett Hundley is my question. And I don't think they're going to be worse than Brett Hundley.
It's hard to be worse than Brett.
I'm just saying. And so he's still going to get a ton of targets. Again, still be a top 5 wide receiver because Devontae Adams is a really, really talented wide receiver.
I think it's weird that it's kind of a contrarian take, though. I think most people are worried and cautious about any Packers right now. And you can probably get them at discounts.
Exactly right. I mean, listen, every player in fantasy football has value. It's just a matter of what it costs to acquire that player. Yeah. So if I can get Devontae Adams at below market value because people are worried that Aaron Rodgers isn't there, then potentially a value. Again, is his value less without Aaron Rodgers? Of course it is, but it's not nil. It's still going to be significant.
That's good. Real quick, I know it's early. We need a fantasy sleeper or a breakout player you think this season.
How about Irv Smith, the tight end in Minnesota? You look at the 4 games, super small sample size, but you look at the 4 games last year, which at the end of the year, which Kyle Rudolph missed. Irv Smith was a top 5 fantasy tight end over those 4 games. Now again, he basically had 2 good games, 2 bad games, and was inflated by the touchdowns, but that's tight ends. Like, after the elite couple of guys, like, it's really like it's a touchdown dependent position. And so with Kyle Rudolph now in New York, and that offense emerging a little bit more pass friendly, Jefferson obviously, and Thielen, I think Irv Smith, who often gets forgotten with the Hawkinsons and the Noah Fants, those 2 guys, the 3rd-year tight ends, I think Irv Smith is a borderline top 10 fantasy tight end this year.
A little more upside there. Last one, Super Bowl winner. Long shot, favorite, doesn't matter. Who do you think takes it down?
I'm going to say the Chiefs. I know the Buccaneers are the popular pick. But I think if they'd had a healthy offensive line, I think that's a different game.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's a different game. So, it was a magical season for the Buccaneers, and they're going to be right there in the end. And you can make an argument for a lot of teams, but as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing for Andy Reid, it's going to be hard for me to ever go against
That's
those
good
guys.
enough for me too. Hey, thank you, Matthew. Tell people real quick where they can find you, what you're doing real quick.
You can find me on ESPN on any of our platforms.
He was in
We're
Avengers
hard to-
Endgame.
I was
Avengers Endgame.
Oh yeah,
Did you
there
guys
you
know
go.
that?
There you go. Yeah, you check it out.
An hour and 30 minutes in.
Right, you can find me in the first 6 seconds of Loki on Disney Plus. There you go. 6 seconds of me in that. No, ESPN Plus, fantasy show, and my columns, and of course podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can always listen to the Fantasy Focus.
Awesome. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Preston.